Hello, hello, what is going on, YouTube friends? Phoenix61 here with another shenanigans-filled World of Warships Legends video. Make sure you're following the channel, guys. We are doing Legends videos every freaking day here. So this is the newish Gokase. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but this is the newer Japanese tech tree cruiser line, right? So I am quite enjoying these, but as you guys know, I kind of liked the and still do like the other Japanese cruiser, right? So I play those quite a bit, especially a couple of the premium ones I have, like the Suja, right? So the playstyle isn't too much different, with the exception of, the guns aren't as great. I think the hull's probably, the armor scheme is maybe a little not as good, kind of, but like, then there's these upsides where there's these awesome torpedoes, right? And the angle you can fire these at too, like I was able to fire those out front of me, right? Whereas a lot of the other, the regular tech tree Japanese cruisers, it's kind of like either straight up broadside or back behind you that you can fire them, right? So, and then torpedoes are stronger, better range, that kind of thing. And then there's a new commander, from the calendar event, when these were released, that we are using too. So we'll go through the build for that as well, right? So I went a little bit aggressive with this just because we do have, some cover here, right? So like, if you're kind of out in the open, if you don't have something to hide behind, or something to work with as far as scenery, right? Like you can really screw yourself over doing something like this, right? But we have enough defensive barrier here. We're able to get some cheeky shots on this Tennessee, and he may not be able to hit us, right? But for safety's sake, we are angled a little bit, but I would imagine if he got a decent salvo on us, he could probably end us, right? And yeah, some of our bullets are hitting the edge here. I get continuously annoyed with the airplane spotting us, right? Because that's literally the only thing that's picking us up right now. So if it wasn't for that, I'd be able to like back up a little bit and then get the bullets over this ridge here, but we just couldn't do it because we kept getting spotted, right? So was just playing it safe and taking these shots here. So now the airplane's gone. Oh, nope, there's another one out there. But, as you can see, we're kind of fire spamming this Tennessee, right? So we didn't have any luck with our initial torpedo volley that we sent out there, which was always like a bummer. But like, with this setup, you're kind of hoping for the best a lot of times with those torpedoes anyway. You got to kind of take your best guess on where enemies are going to come through, especially in the beginning of the game, right? And send those torpedoes through as kind of like, defensive zoning, just in case torpedoes, whatever you want to call them, right? But we managed to seal the cap here. So manning it out for once in the zone worked, which is usually not the way to go when you're a cruiser, right? Then here we see they've got some battleships here that are pressing in, right? And the key here is I almost kind of try to play as like a cruiser / destroyer hybrid type strategy, right? Like trying not to get spotted in order to get these torpedo shots off. And so as we come around the corner, we're going to take a look and see if these guys are even looking at us, and if not, we can take advantage of that. But like if they were, focused this way, either wouldn't have gone out, or, we would try and get angled a little bit better sooner. Here this Tennessee is kind of eyeing up us and or the destroyer on our team here, so we'll have to be careful. I'm gonna try and sneak back into our little hideout here before dying, and then yeah, those torpedoes are looking much better. So it was a little bit of a risk-reward situation, right? But we might be able to get 1 or 2 hits on either the Tennessee or this the Soviet battleship, right? And then watch how much damage these do. Even just, 11,000. So even against a heavily, armored American battleship that's got a lot of torpedo protection, still pulled off 11,000, right? And then I think this is the tier 5. I think once you get up to the 6 and the 7 for sure, the torpedoes get quite a bit stronger as well. I think they get more, you know, in the like Shimakaze torpedo damage range, and you know, to have those at those, you know, tier 6 is pretty cool. But you know, you're sacrificing guns, you're sacrificing, you know, the armor scheme's different, which I think isn't as good. But you do get, you know, the one thing I do like about this is that kind of plays into the strategy for how I like to play these ships. Is a lot of the turrets move 360 degrees, right? They spin all the way around. So you notice the front turrets right now are, you know, they're spinning inward, right? And so when you're doing these sort of like defensive kiting maneuvers like we're doing here, you know, like that's huge, because then you're getting those guns on target way sooner than you would with some of the other Japanese cruisers, right? So there's another upside there for that. You can see even with some angling, we still took a pretty good hit, but that was actually could have been worse kind of scenario, right? And Fuso, see if we can fire spam him a little bit. So yeah, and you know, the thing here too, I hate how I say that so much. The other thing is, right, that's my own, yeah. Anyway, you know, the other thing with this build is I've built into, and I don't know how I feel about this yet, right? I'm still playing around with it, but I've built into the torpedoes quite a bit, right? And so the torpedoes are doing more damage, they're traveling faster, they're harder to spot, they're harder for enemies to spot, right? Also, like all of this is, a lot of this is the commander that's new that came with these, right? And you know, when I look at that, we'll see where we end up on the leaderboard. So I've got another game queued up since that one was so short, right? So I did a double header here, so stay tuned. But with how you have the commander build, you know, and with how often you're getting torpedo hits, right? Like, it's like, is that worth it? It's kind of what's going through my mind right now, right? Like, the torpedoes, like, for as a cruiser player, are always kind of like a secondary kind of thing, you know, because your guns are kind of where you're getting the most of your damage most of the time, right? But here with these, with being able to launch them early, you know, almost look at the range here on the mini map when we have the torpedo selected. Like right from the start, I'm almost able to shoot zoning torpedoes all the way through zone C and B, like from starting off here, right? So like that's my thought process behind like we should build into these torpedoes, right? But like if you're looking at the last game, you know, we had 2 or 3 torpedo hits, whatever it was, right? Versus like almost 100 main battery hits, right? So like if I'm building into something that only happens 2 or 3 times in a game sometimes, you know, like that's where I'm like, where's the balance here? So I'm still a little bit on the fence. I think that like just for like the fun of its sake, you know, like I think having this torpedo build is gonna be more fun. But I think if I like really wanted to like, you know, solidify a better win percentage with this ship, which, you know, that's one of those things I just don't care about that much, you know, is win percentages. But like, yeah, like, you know, I think if you really wanted to like dial it in, a gun build or how I've built my other cruiser, you know, commanders out, might be better. It's tough to tell though, right? But I think this way is more fun. I think I'm going to keep this for a while. And see how it goes, especially with the higher tier ships that we are still working through, right? So the zone's contested, so we know our friendly cruiser here. He kind of looked like he had the same thought that I did, and I didn't want to sit right next to him, you know, because it'll take, you know, one destroyer with a awesome torpedo shot right through that, you know, right in that little hiding spot there to get a double strike on both of us, right? I was like, all right. Let's hang back and support, but not sit right next to him, right? But if he hadn't gone there, I might have gone there to try and challenge that zone, right? And then I'd probably tick my sonar on too, just to see passing, you know, get that early warning for torpedoes. But yeah, so we're spotted now as well. So we know that destroyer's got to be sort of on this half of, you know, the zone C cap here. And there he is. It's a Benson. And I'll keep backing up. I'm gonna guess that if he dumps torpedoes, he's gonna send them at the cruiser that's closer to him, right? So yep, so there they are. And then the King George was turning this way, but I was actually more so focusing on trying to get my torpedoes into that smoke screen, right? If I can't kill that Benson, at least maybe those torpedoes would scare him off and push him away from the zone, and then we could get the zone cap, right? So now that that cruiser left that spot, and now we've got some spotting happening, I'm gonna go back into that little corner there and see if we can't get some hits on these battleships that are further out while we try and, you know, contest this zone and deal with this destroyer at the same time, right? So yeah, we'll be able to fire most of, all of our turrets over this little ledge here without getting spotted at all, because that Benson's still sitting in his smoke. Of course, you do have to hit the targets. We have no hits yet, no damage done. Aren't you glad you're watching me? There we go, we finally get on the board here with a fire. But yeah, I think that like this is almost this like hybrid type style cruiser. Like you can play it, you know, a lot of the other country cruisers, I play them like this, where I'm like, all right, let's find some like cover, let's challenge the zone, let's hunt destroyers kind of thing. Whereas with the other tech tree of Japanese cruisers, I'm almost always taking that like open water, kiting away type strategy, right? Because the torpedoes kind of fire behind you. You get that like speed and maneuverability that helps you dodge, you know, bullets coming from battleships, right? Like so, like, but here I feel like I have more choices, I guess. But you definitely pay the price with the hull, and that was a scenario where I was like, I can't believe I didn't die. I knew I was risking it, right? Like I knew I was like, I wanted to get rid of this destroyer, help try and fight this destroyer. We did hit the brakes and turn in, so I think some of those bullets kind of, you know, missed their trajectory, right? But you can see that volley, we lost half our health all at once there, right? So, but yeah, well, payback's gonna be a bitch for him. But yeah, my focus was this Benson, and it was, you know, a scenario where it's like, hey, don't forget to pay attention to the minimap, dudes. And then yeah, we had sonar ready again, so you can see we're picking up those torpedoes from that Benson super early, and we know that our path here is super safe, right? So now we've got a little bit of land between us and these two battleships, so now this is sort of a dream scenario, right, where we can just sort of damage farm these guys, especially if they're going to hang out there. So yeah, we'll hit the brakes here and just, we'll park it, right? Like, if they're gonna let me do it, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, it does look like they're either, you know, focusing on what's over at A over there, but you can see we've got, you know, our cluster of our 4 battleships over at A. But to be fair, like the enemy team's done the same thing, right? Like they got a cluster over there as well. But this is giving us like this is opening up opportunities for us, right? Like these are easy shots. We're not spotted. As they move away, we'll be able to go in and press into the B hole, right? We'll get as much shots on them as we can here, and then we will stop shooting once they have like this line of sight through these islands here, so that we don't get spotted. Because it'll probably only take one more salvo from one of those guys to finish us off. So yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at before. I almost feel like I'm playing this as, it feels like, you know, it feels like a couple different types of cruisers that we play, you know, like it feels like this hybrid of cruisers and hybrid of almost, you know, you have to play like a destroyer occasionally too, and try and be a little stealthy. You know, you see those like those black like symbols that come up when you hit hit enemy ships sometimes, especially when you're shooting HE. It's because you're damaging and or destroying, you know, things like secondary batteries or AA modules, right? I think there should be like a banner or like a ribbon for that too, because you get like it's not an incapacitation, right? Like it's you've straight up destroyed it. So yeah, like if you like destroy a turret or something, you know, like that, I think that should be a new, it's a new banner idea. Somebody tell Wargaming. Or ribbon. I always forget what those are called. Those colorful rectangles up in the top right. So yeah, so here we are. We're capping the zone and we're picking everybody up, right? Pretty much spotting their entire team. And I'm not going to shoot because I want to get this zone capped. But if we do shoot, we'll get spotted, and we're cannon fodder to these battleships out here, right? Like, we'd just be screwed. So we sent torpedoes through the cracks here where we'd suspect, you know, enemies to possibly come through. And so that's where I was like, you know what? Like, then in that moment, I feel like I'm playing like a destroyer, you know? Alright, a little less threatening now, so, and we've got the zone capped, so we'll start shooting. And then if we do happen to get into trouble, we can just duck behind, you know, some of these islands here. But, you know, like this Dallas, like, I don't even know if he turns to, like, give me the light of day, you know, like, he's focused on whatever he was shooting at previously. Or, like, it looks like he's got a little bit better of shot on our other cruiser. Yeah. Take that, island. So at this point, I'm being super aggressive now. It's kind of that like late stage of the game, right? Where I'm like, all right, we got a little bit of health that we can manage, right? So I'm not too worried about those cruisers just whooping us, but and then we'll take a widespread shot of torpedoes and a skinny spread shot of torpedoes at this King George, and then we'll go and chase down these last two cruisers. Right? I'm gonna imagine that the two battleships on our team in A can finish off King George, but hopefully we can get some credit there with torpedoes, and then we'll help with the Molotov. Looks like he's probably shooting at the destroyer and other cruiser here at this point anyway. So we'll take advantage of the fact that they're not targeting us, right? Might be able to get something on this Dallas if he pokes his nose forward a little more. And we get hits on the King George with our torpedoes, so he's done. And we got either one or both of these guys on fire now, so we can see our damage ticker going up pretty good. Oosh. And that's going to end it. We'll have points for that. So now we will go through, I'll go through how I have this commander set up in here. And kind of, yeah, we'll show you what I'm doing right now. But like I said, like I feel like these are gonna be, at least for me, sort of a fun tech tree to play through, right? But whether or not this is the best way to do it, you know, because you only get, you know, we only had a few torpedo hits, right? But speed is my weapon here. This base trait is more torpedo speed. I was a little disappointed in the main battery range, so I did use an inspiration spot for main battery range, right? I do like how this it shows this progression here, but yeah, as you can see, we were at this time for this game, we were still working through those, right? But here, this HE shells causing fire, you know, like, you know, if I was doing a gun build, I would probably pick that instead of the torpedoes, you know. I'm not a huge fan of you know, things that boost your sonar or torpedo acquisition, especially if you've got sonar, you know, like, so yeah. So that's where we went with that. And then these are, that third row is pretty much anything defensive. And then torpedo launcher reload time. And then this is the big one, this killing distance. So this is one that's like crazy unique to this commander. So less torpedo detectability, right? More range, and then they do more damage if you're hitting targets that are far out with those torpedoes, right? So that's how we've done the build there. I'm still working through the module upgrades, right? So more games to come. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do please make sure you're following the channel. I'm still a pretty small channel, so yes, your one follow actually does help me out. I do notice it does help motivate me to keep going. We've got a pretty awesome streak of World of Warships Legends videos getting posted every single day. So if you're following, we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.